Okay, let's start because we have a lot of ground to cover. Welcome. Welcome to this presentation, Claris Studio, custom views, step by step. Who has some experience with Studio already? May I ask you to raise hands? Okay. Who has been in the ETS for Claris Studio? A couple of people. Okay. So custom views is not part of the current production version yet. So that might be something new to you. If you have seen me talking about this in Berlin, this might overlap. So just be advised, it's more or less the same. Of course, there are some enhancements now in Studio. A little bit about myself. I started my career, professional career with FileMaker in '96, FileMaker 3, I believe. Started ClickWorks 2005 together with my brother Jeroen. That's us at the Wedge there in 2009. We are based in Antwerp, Belgium. We are a platinum partner, Belgian platinum partner. I'm certified in every version of FileMaker imaginable. I started traveling to different European conferences as a speaker. I was a DEF CON speaker and a Claris Engage speaker last year and next year as well. So we have a wonderful team over there at ClickWorks, and some of them are here and are here in the audience as well. So this is the beautiful city of Antwerp. Maybe we will have Engage You next year in Antwerp again. We will ask you in the closing survey. And I love playing the guitar. If I'm not doing FileMaker, that's one of my hobbies. Now, this session will be demo, demo, demo. So my only topics are building a custom dashboard step by step, and I will do it live. What can go wrong, right? See, I'm so happy to have Wes in the audience. If I see him grinning, then I know I'm okay. All right. If there's some time left, but I guess we will not have any time left, I can show you some possibilities of the Studio connector and the positioning slides, but you got them from Claris yesterday. They covered that extensively. Okay? So, without further ado, let's dive into it and let's start building a custom dashboard. So I'm going to switch over to Safari. I'm already logged in. Okay, I'm going to mirror now. Yeah, this is better. Okay. So I'm already logged in to my ETS Studio account, and you've all been invited to join Studio ETS. So if you want to do what I'm doing here, then follow that link and subscribe for the ETS. I have a couple of hubs over here. I'm not going over the basics. I assume you know more or less what hubs are, what views are. And this is what we are aiming at. This is my Engage U24 hub. And this is my finished dashboard. So if I mess up my demo, I know I have a working end result right here. So I'm going to open that one up. And as you can see, this is a fairly complex dashboard with a couple of frames. And I'm going to show you how to link all this together. So this is the developer mode. I'm going to switch. And this is what happens. I have a list of projects to the left. ClickMan, Sales Funnel, Engage You. I can toggle between projects, switch between projects, and I got related tasks for that project in a task pane. I've got project details on top with fields like opportunity, risk, project owner, and so on. And I have some statistics or some charts on those projects displayed at the bottom. Okay? Now try to imagine for a while how long will this take to build this in FileMaker. You will probably need a web viewer to display the Kanban board. You will probably need some JavaScript charts, or maybe the default charts will do. You will need to build a portal, build a script to link it all together, build relationships. Half a day will be short, maybe 1 day. And we are going to do it in 1 hour. That's basically the point with Claris Studio, okay? By the way, this is not the only view. I can switch between Kanban or calendar view, so I can just take one of those tasks, move into another date, and I can switch to timeline view, and I can plan for this task, like, okay, I need at least 5 days for this task. So these are different ways to approach the same data using different views. So I'm switching layout, so to say, within a frame, okay? That's what's happening. Now, how do you build this? I'm going to close this again. go back to my hub, and we're going to start doing it from scratch. We tell all our speakers, record videos of your demos, don't do live demos. That's for FileMaker. It doesn't count for Studio, right? It always works. Now, this is probably what you're familiar with, the basic views. So the people that raise their hands, yes, we know Studio. You have probably built a form. You have probably experimented a little bit with the list detail views. There's a gallery. There's a timeline, all cool things, but you're basically stuck with just one thing, one data source, and that's it. And you cannot really build an application or a dashboard like I just showed you. That's where the custom views come in. So if you submit for the ETS, you will get this additional icon custom, all right? And I'm going to give you the name and get you 24 demo. And I can choose the data source. It's not that important, but we will show what happens if I do that. So I'm going to base this one and use the same data as my other dashboard, and we will see what happens by doing that, or at least, yes, my understanding of what happens. Because the thing with the ETS is, there's no manual. So this is all me as a FileMaker developer trying to figure out what's this new thing, how does it work, does it fit together? And maybe some components do not really fit together. We will discuss that a bit later. And then Wes wants to hear all about that, about us struggling with some concepts, because they're also figuring it out, okay? But I think they're doing a pretty great job. So we are building this, and I get a beautiful blank canvas. This is what we love, right? FileMaker developers, an empty layout. Yes. That's what we need. All right, let's do it. Now, what can I do? I have this little settings icon. Let's go to settings. Oh, colors, nice. Let's choose a color. Page theme color, why not? I can set the content width. So the default width is a bit too small. I'm going to change it to large. Gives me a bit more space to build my dashboard. I can activate the grid lines permanently. So we will be always working on a grid. No layouts, objects like misaligned and something like that. And this is the most interesting part. I love this. You can do everything in one single frame if you want, but I pretty much like the approach of having your layout, so to say, or a screen divided in multiple frames, okay? And there are powerful ways to do that. I can switch to like the most complicated one, header left, right. There you go, boom. So I get a header. I can drag this a little bit, make this a bit smaller. I can lock a frame so that it won't resize. I can take my left bar here, make it a bit smaller, and you see the basic layout is coming together. All right, I'm going to lock this as well. Is this not too wide? Yeah. All right, and then within this pane, I can also make subdivisions simply by clicking on the plus icon here and simply adding more frames. So frame below, yeah, I need project details on top. And then I need a big frame for my Kanban board. There we go. And then the bottom part will be used for the charts. So my basic setup is done in a matter of minutes, okay? There's a thing about the vocabulary. You see header pane, left pane, right pane, then frame pane 2. And if you click here, you can give those frames a name. And they call it frames. So there's like a mix of vocabulary going on that will maybe be streamlined in the future. So don't be put down by this too much. This is all ETS, okay? I'm going to talk about these views, but let's maybe first add a header. So I can click the Add Object button here. And you have fields, data controls, summary objects. We will all use them all. And you have static objects. So I'm going to start with a static text block over here. Put the title like Project Dashboard. And make it slightly bigger. All right. I will not spend too much time with this. But this gives me a title on top in a fixed header. All right. And then let's add a list of projects over here to the left. So I can, oh yeah, the button here. It's maybe too small to display the button, but no worries. I can add another object. And I'm going to use the so-called card list. So this falls under the category data controls. And maybe I'm going too fast. I'm going to go back one step. Oh, yes. And as you can see, when I started the view, it asked me to choose a data source. And I chose another view as a data source. And that source contained, for instance, tasks data. So I have projects and tasks going on as underlying data. By the way, I didn't tell you, but this is some preparation I've done already. I have already a list of projects, and I have already a list of tasks, and they're already linked together. Okay. Now I can switch. I can choose, instead of tasks, I want to display projects in this sub-view. So if I now add a data control a list, can anyone help me how to turn this off? This is the stage manager. Yeah, that's turned off. Okay. So if I now add the so-called card list to this view, some magic will happen. I don't know if you see it already, but this list now knows that it should display projects. And that's one of the cool things about Studio. It automatically picks the best candidate to display in that project list. It picks the project name. So it somehow has a notion on which fields are important in your table and which fields to use by default in portals, in lists, in your Kanban board, in your calendar, and so on. That's a clever thing. That's something we don't have in FileMaker. In FileMaker, you would have to create a portal and then drag a field into it. So there's some smart things going on there. And I like that really much because it really speeds up. Okay, so card label 1, the name. So we will have project names there. You see the source is projects. And I can add some cool features like, oh, I need a quick search. Bam, there you go. In FileMaker, we would need a global field, maybe a relationship or a script trigger to have this work. Now, just click. I can add filter, sort, and so on, but let's keep it simple for now, and let's just test this. So I'm going to click this button, preview. And there we go. So I just dragged one object in one pane, and I now have a working project list, and I can do quick searches. I can do, right? Oh my God. Oh, there we go. Refresh issue. Oh, clickman, no, I'm just not using the right filter, engage. Oh, there we go. So this works straight away, okay? No programming involved. So you get, with one control, you get already a lot of options. I'm going back to developer mode. I'm going to add some more options. Oh my God. Yeah. For instance, allow editing records, okay? Going back, refresh. Now I get some extras, like this button over here, expand. And Studio somehow gives me a card window. By default, I didn't create this card window. It created it automatically. And I can customize if I want, but this is already not bad. Project name is on top, and I can modify my data right here. So this is a working solution with a portal and a card window by just dragging one object on a view. That's what I call progress, right? Oh, I see you nodding. I'm glad you're with me. Nobody left the room. Okay. I can add attachments. And this is, by the way, the relationship going on. So I've related tasks. So this is a one-to-many relationship. I have a related company. I have a related project manager, and so on. So this works. I can add a record. I can add a test project. All with just one data control. Okay? That's just the beginning. We're just getting started here. Switching back to developer mode. This is working fine. This is locked. Okay. Okay, so the next thing in this pane or frame or whatever, I want to display some project details, some fields I often need. So like the project owner, project name, and so on. So I'm going to go, and there are two ways to do this. And I talked to Wes yesterday about, there's a new approach and the old way. I'm going to do it the old, more complicated way first, then the new way, and then raise hands what you like most, maybe. Okay, let's do a little test here. So I can add fields. And for instance, I want to see the project owner. Did that work? No. Try again. Oh, sorry, this is still linked to tasks. I need to switch this view because I'm in a different view now. I need to switch this one to projects as well. So if each time I click here, I select this view. This view is based on the project table. This view was based on tasks. I'm clicking in it. And can you see that this is the blue border around it indicates that now this frame is selected. And so I'm linking this view to the projects table as well. So now I see fields from projects, like owner, etc. While just a couple of seconds ago, I saw tasks field. So owner. Okay. Like opportunity. Risk. Something like that. Okay. Let's test this. Okay, so I have my projects, I see my fields, and it is not working at all. Because we need to do one thing more. We need to link that left navigation bar to that detail view. So we are dealing with two views now, both displaying project data, but this view should drive the other one, or a selection in this list should drive the detail view in the other thing. How do you do that? Well, now it gets a bit more complicated, and there are two ways, as I told you. So let's first start with the most complicated way. And I recommend doing some preparation as well. So it's maybe now a good moment to talk about naming conventions. So you see this is named subview 14, subview 15, not specified. This doesn't help, right? So let's give it a name. And I can click here and I can rename subview 14. And I'm going to use how you call it, W, for view as a prefix. And then this is project-based, and this is my project list over here. And this view, subview 15, I'm going to rename it, and I'm going to call it view project detail. Why not? Makes things much more clear, and that will help me in a couple of seconds. Same thing for this list data object. By going to the second tab over here, I can also name this one, and I'm going to call this one LS for list project list. So I have a view project list with a data control list project list. Okay? This will make it more easy now to link both together. So I'm going to go to view project detail. There we go. Back to the first tab. So as you can see, the data comes from the project table. But how does it know which record to display? Well, we're going to build a calculation and we're going to refer to that list control. And that's the hardest part here, because we have no help here. There is no list of objects like in FileMaker, a calculation builder, where you can just click on things. You need to start typing something. What do I need to type? What would you suggest typing? LS for list? No, look. Yes, that's it. I see both my views. So that's the highest in the hierarchy. So project lists. And now it's easy. It's JavaScript based, so we are dealing with JavaScript JavaScript objects, I suppose. So I can now type a dot, and now it becomes easy. Oh yes, in this view, there's just one control. That's my list, project list. Enter, dot again. What can I do? I can get the record count, nice, or the selected row. This is what I need, the selected row. What do I need from that selected row? I need the record ID, right? So now this view will be driven by the record ID selected in this list. Makes sense. But it's just the first step, like the first key to press. That's the hardest one, okay? Now let's try this again. Okay, so the first project is selected by default. If I click on another project now, you see both my views now working together. This is the magic. And how do all these fields know how to react? Well, those fields are by default set to a setting called inherit. So they are slaved, so to say, to the surrounding view. And if the view is driven by a record ID, then all fields follow along. I very much like that concept. The only thing is you need to deal with that calculation. Now, recently they added a new thing, and I'm gonna just remove this field to show you. They added a new thing, and I want your opinion on this. I can add the risk field again, and I can choose a record source over here. And I see my list in the record source displayed. So I can choose project list, and I can now drag that field risk over there. And now this field is individually linked to that same data control. So the two fields on the left inherit the settings from the view. The field on the right is directly driven by this. That's an alternative way to do it. But I like the first one a bit more, because I know that every new field I slam in that view will automatically react like all the others do. Whereas here, you have individual settings for each and every field. But this allows you to have in one view different fields driven by different data controls, so you can mess it all up. Question? Uh-huh. Oh, you ask me, what's the reason? Why will you do it? Yes, I think this is ETS, right? They are just figuring it out. I think they're trying to simplify, trying to take away that calculation box. This also allows you to have in one view multiple fields driven by multiple data sources. So it's good to have both, but what I suggested to Wes is to give me that same data source control over here. So instead of having to build a calculation, just being able to directly select my list over here. Another question? Oh yes, 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 of course. You can start chaining it together. So the question was, can you go further downstream, link other data controls to it? Yes, that's exactly what we are going to do. Yes. Okay, let's move on. So does this work, or do you just believe me? So you see it works, and the two left fields are driven in a different fashion than the right field, but it works. Okay? Still good with the time? Yes, let's move on. I want the Kanban board with the related tasks for the selected project. Let's add a Kanban board. Oh, we have no view over here. Oh gosh. We need one, so I'm going to create a new sub-view. And this dialog is a bit clumsy, but they know it. So that's the advantage of the ETS. You can like bash Claris and say like, hey, I don't like this. Okay, it's not working. So, like, okay, this will be a task, yeah, detail view or task Kanban view. All right. It will be based on a tasks table. All right, I'm going to add data control Kanban boards. Okay, great. And that's something I like about Studio as well. If possible, it immediately populates your controls with sample data or data from your table. So you get a nice idea on how it is working. And again, this is a smart object, because without me doing anything, this Kanban board object figured out on its own that the title of my tasks will be the most likely candidate to display I didn't have to add fields manually. I didn't prepare anything more for this session, right? So it's smart in a way that it figured out that the fields to display are the task title, maybe the assignee, and maybe the related project to that task, which is not needed because I will select the project to the left. So I'm going to disable this. And did you see the project disappearing from the cards over here? So I can configure up to 4 fields, I believe. Yes, task number, title, assignee. I could show the type, for instance. But let's keep it nice and tidy for now. Okay, tasks, anything else? I'm going to set this setting to fill so that the board will nicely fill my screen. Check out if this works. But no, you're all wrong. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Sorry, guys. Yeah, no, it doesn't work. It's displaying all my tasks, not. That's good, right? Still progress. So how do I link this to the tasks? Oh, we know now how to do that, right? Well, this is different because this is, how to explain this? This is not what one, yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It's like talking about mental models. So before we had this, I'm clicking back on the project detail. So we had project detail, record data from calculation, okay? I could do the same here, record data from calculation, but I can tell you it won't work. Or will it? Let's try. View, project lists, selected row, record ID. Will this work? We're still seeing all the tasks. I cannot explain exactly why, because maybe they could make it work this way, and then we would have the same way of dealing with it in both cases. But I'm going to just show you directly what we need instead is a so-called filter. So I need to click on the object, not on the view, but on the object itself, and I need to specify how these tasks need to be filtered. And what you have currently in production in Studio is only hard-coded filters. So you can specify a field, and you can set a hard-coded condition like status overdue or something. But that doesn't help us very much. We need a dynamic filter based on the project being selected, and then again a calculation comes in. And this calculation is different. I'm sorry, I didn't build this, but this is different. Why? We'll figure it out. But this is the only other thing you need to learn, basically. Okay? So, and this was the hardest for me to figure out. So I'm hoping with this presentation that I'm helping you save like an hour of head scratching. But I'm just going to tell you, behind this object task is a table task. And that table needs to be filtered by project ID. Okay? So what I need to type here is the table name. And I use the prefix TB for table. So my tasks table pops up there. And then it's easy again. I see all the fields in my tasks table. I can choose the project. And I've got the option raw value of value, which I'm not certain about what it is. But I need a raw value. So thank me later for figuring that out for you. Now you know. Raw value. It's JavaScript. So I want that raw value to be equal to the selected project on the left. So not one single equal sign, but you will need 2, because we are dealing with JavaScript. And now we know we are on familiar territory. I'm going to point again to this data control. So this will be again my view, project lists, selected row, record ID. So I'm filtering my tasks Kanban board by comparing the projects from that table with the selected record ID over to the left. This is the hardest thing, and I'm going to copy this formula because I might need it later. I'm not specifying a record ID. Yes. That's a job I did before this presentation. Maybe I need to help you by showing that first. I'm going out of my hub. I'm going to show you my tasks table. And this is what I have. This is the data behind. This is the data driving our dashboard. And I already linked tasks to projects over there. So I created a related field already. So the relationship is there. It's still the old relational model. So nothing changes there. It's just a way of filtering and putting it all together. I hope this helps. Okay, back to my dashboards. All right, this is developer mode, and this was our preview. Is it working? Yes, it is. Woo! Thank you. So 2 ways of driving or a view with individual fields and then directly getting the record ID or filtering data controls. That's basically what's happening. And then we need to deal with the table and with that mysterious row value, which will probably be explained in a future manual, but this is ETS, so we need to be ready for that kind of stuff, right? Okay, well, we still have pretty much time left. This is only 30 minutes in this presentation, and we're more than halfway done. So would you like to add some charts over here, some statistics? Well, everything will be easy from here on. The hardest part is over now, okay? So let's add a chart. Oh, I need a view. Okay, let's add a new subview first. Let's call this one view task charts. I can display statistics on how many tasks I have by status, by assignee, by due date, something like that. Sounds good? Okay. So task charts. All right, adding an object. And I have these summary objects, and I'm going to use a couple of those pie charts and maybe one bar chart. So let's start with a pie chart, and look what happens. Yeah, it's a bit small, maybe. Maybe try to make it a bit bigger. Oh. Bear with me. It'll be all right. But I hope you notice that it already does a pretty good job at guessing what I will need in that chart. It already created a chart based on the status field, so the number of tasks by status, which is not bad. I'm going to clean it up a little bit. Don't show the axis label. And I know it's a bit small in developer mode, but we will be fine once we switch to preview. Is it working? Indeed, it is not working. What is it doing? It is showing all the tasks. So I need to apply the same filter that I did to my Kanban board. And luckily, this is exactly the same calculation box over there, so I can just paste the formula I used before, okay? So I'm filtering tasks based on projects, based on the selected project. Is it working now? Refresh. So the chart should now update when I change projects. And it does. Ah, yes. Thanks. By the way, what I find so cool, look, I have tasks in progress, done, and so on. And so if I move something from to do to in progress, oh, it's not editable, bummer. Let's make it editable. Allow editing records. There we go. So just moving a task to in progress will also immediately update the chart over there without having such a thing as a trigger or a script or something. It's linked together and it dynamically updates. That's what I like very much about Claris Studio. We have one chart, why not do two more? Very powerful feature, duplicate. Gonna drag this one over here, and I'm gonna do a count on like assigné, for instance. And by duplicating, I also duplicated the calculation, so I'm good. And I'm gonna add another one. And I want to see how many tasks, what's my backlog. So the backlog for the future. So I'm gonna choose another type of chart to display that better, a bar chart by due date. And the cool thing is, it's a date field, and I got the option to group it. So instead of displaying individual days, I can immediately tell this chart to group the amount of tasks by month, which will show me a backlog month by month, which is very cool. Just 3-4 mouse clicks, and I got a pretty advanced chart, which is also filtered again based on the project selected. So there we go. I now see my charts by status, by assigné, and I see my backlog for the future. Just in a couple of mouse clicks. This is the power, the real power of Studio, in my opinion. This is really cool. If we need to do this in FileMaker, we will spend hours and hours, I believe. Okay? Thank you. We're done. No, there's one more thing. Yeah, we can go a little bit further. So you know the basic principles, and that's all there is to it, basically. Okay, but we can now go crazy. Okay, so what if we want, instead of a Kanban board, we want a calendar or we want a timeline? How do we swap? And that's one of the powerful features. So we already have like layouts within layouts, or so-called views within frames. Okay, and we can even swap views within a frame. So like have 3 layouts and swap between them, as I demoed you earlier today. Let's do that. And I just recently figured this out. So I can create a new subview starting from the same frame we have over here. Let's call this one View Task Calendar. And why not immediately go for another one while we are at it? View Task Timeline. Why? Because we can, because it's cheap, because it's quick. So let's start with the calendar. What do I need? Oh, an object. Data control, calendar. Boom. Same thing, gonna ask you to fill the screen. I need to filter it, we know that. Paste the formula. That's it, okay? Other view, timeline. I need to go slower, I have too much time. Timeline, okay. Fill. Calculation, same, link it to the projects. Of course, it's just 2 tables, project and task. But Matt, as you asked me, we can go crazy. We can go like 3, 4, 5 levels deeper. We can really drill down by exactly using the same mechanics, tying it all together in the same way. So you could go from project to tasks, to the budget for that task, to the SMEs for that task, the contact details for the SMEs for that task, clients related to those projects. I've done it all. So I just want to keep this demo simple, just 2 tables, easy to follow along. But you can go crazy with this, okay? Did I not forget? Yeah, I didn't. Okay. So I now have much more views than I have frames. And I need a way to toggle the view within the frame, okay? And then, because we are going to address frames, it will help to name them also. So instead of just calling this frame pane, I'm going to call this like frame task details or something. This will help me. And I can now create buttons to toggle views within a frame. So literally switching layouts on a layout. In FileMaker terms, if that makes sense. Okay. Buttons, buttons, buttons. Buttons are static objects. Yes. Oh, no. Sorry. Yeah. You need to get into the habit of clicking in the frame first and then adding objects. Button, all right, there's a button. Okay. And this is fairly new, I believe. Before you had to do something more complicated, but I believe they added a couple of default actions now, like navigation actions. And I can specify which view to choose. Show subview in. And now it helps to have some kind of naming convention. The target will be a frame. And so I get all these mess like header pane, left pane, right pane, frame pane 2. But luckily I named my target frame task details. And what do I want to display? Well, I see all my views. So I recommend having some naming convention which will help you figuring it all out. So view, and I want to show, what do we want? Let's start with the Kanban first. All right, call this button Kanban. And then duplicate it. This one will display calendar. And the timeline. And it's now just a matter of selecting the right view, calendar, and timeline. 15 minutes left. Let's check this. Refresh. Oh, I forgot to switch the default, but it's not bad. So I can, this works? Yep. Here we go. Isn't this powerful? Switching views in a frame. And this also has the promise, these views have the promise of being reusable, not only in one view, but maybe in the near future across views. So you build some working piece of data, and then you can reuse it on many, many times. Question? Yeah. You could end up with a very large number of objects. Yes, indeed. So that's why I recommend the naming convention to, yeah. one drop down. Can you guide me? Where do I need to click to show it? Yes. The target is a frame. So what you are seeing here, subviews, okay. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I didn't notice. Yeah. That's why we're here for. We're all testing together. Another question? Oh yeah. What happens when if I squeeze up the browser window? Yeah, thank you for this opportunity because that's also a thing in Studio. It is responsive. It will automatically reposition objects based on the screen size. Of course, this is already a pretty packed dashboard. This is not an ideal candidate, probably. But as you can see, without me doing anything, it starts rearranging objects. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. We have time for some more advanced features if you want, if you're interested, because, okay, we're done already. So, yeah, nothing more to explain here other than um, this opens amazing new opportunities to deal with your data because a simple tasks table, I would never have thought of it, but now that you're in a timeline, oh yes, of course, I can now plan for these tasks and then I can assign. So we are manipulating your data in a whole new way because it becomes so easy to display it in different ways, okay? Advanced features, what do I mean? Let's go to the Kanban board and I check the box, make it editable, right? And I automatically got the option to show the details again. I can also double click, I believe. Yes, I can. And this is all given to me for free by Claris Studio, including a revision history. That's what Wes mentioned yesterday. So by default, Studio is keeping old versions of your data. So I can easily revert to an old version of this task back in the day where the due date was maybe somewhere, I don't know, empty. So this, you get all this for free. Now there's one issue with this, because I can add records. But if I'm going to add a record, like tests engage you 24, it doesn't know that it should belong, or what I expect as a user is, because the first project is selected, the Clickman project is selected, I'm assuming as a user that if I add a task, it automatically belongs to that category, which is not. And you can see it because the project fields is visible and it's empty. By the way, how do you create a relationship in Studio? It's wonderful. Just select the project. So I can manually select the project, of course. But wouldn't it be nice to have that as a default setting based on the filter I'm using over here? So that's what I call a more advanced feature because it's pretty much hidden away. I'm going to change the view over here. Okay. Kanban board again. Okay, I select my Kanban board. And there are some options showing title, quick search, and so on. Allow editing records, and then hidden away over here are a couple of very, very powerful features. Add record defaults and add record dialogues. What I'm looking for is the add record default. So I can specify that by default, the project should have a default value. And it gets complicated, right? We are already 1, 2, 3 dialogues deep, okay? And as a default value, I can specify a calculation. Guess what that calculation will be? the project selected in the list to the left. So the view, project lists, selected row, record ID. That should do the trick, right? So yes, this default is not in the schema because it cannot be. It's based on what I do in the UI. I select the project in the UI, and only there I know which is supposed to be the active project, and that's only the only way to know what the default should be when working with that active project. Are you still with me? Yeah? Thank you. So maybe go back. So what I did, I'm assuming that if I click on a project here, engage you, and I click add record, as a user, I'm assuming that my tasks will automatically be linked to that project based on the UI, okay? That's what I want to achieve. So what did I do? I selected my Kanban board. I got these allow editing record option. I got this advanced add record defaults dialog. I can specify which field to set, and you see, I love this icon. Nice little icon indicating which field to set. I can set other fields, of course. I can set like a default due date, for instance. Why not? Like 30 days in the future or something, right? I select my default project by using a calculation pointing to the project list. Question?
Joris, what would be really nice there is to see that you actually had a calculation so you would know that you did do that. So that you were actually specified to be aware of that I did use that choice. So if you go back one step, and then one more, and then right here when you're clicking on the cog there on the right side, the cog, already there you would like to know that I actually configured it so that I would be aware of that.
Oh, yeah.
You do have a choice already.
So the cog should be highlighted in green or something. Should be highlighted in green to indicate there's something going on there. Yes, why not? I think they can do that. Maybe tomorrow? No, not tomorrow, next week.
Along with that, Joris, would it also be available to pick a record once you get in here based upon what you are doing? So the filtering of records in your left panel would show your projects. So the list of your projects would show the ones you're involved with, but then I can always search to find other ones. So
Oh, yes. So by default, filtering on the user that's logged into the system, that kind of thing. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's functionality. Wow, a lot of questions now. If you use the mic, speak closely into the microphone. So there's a gentleman over there. Doesn't work? I'll repeat the question. Just go ahead. Is add record always connected by to edit? Right now it is. In a future iteration, we will have access rights, like Wes explained yesterday, and we will have more granular security. But for now, edit is edit. But yes, in the future, we will get this. Including the yeah, yeah, but yeah, that's agile, man. That's agile, going step by step. Yes, but thank you. Magnus.
Is that, oh, sorry, thank you. The project table you have, is that possible to be with the ESS Plus to be the FileMaker database?
Yes, of course.
So right now it's locally within.
No, of course, that's the whole thing. And that's Werner here in the front. That's what we used for his project. That was the main differentiator between Microsoft Forms and, for instance, Claris Studio. Because with Microsoft Forms, you end up with a stupid Excel sheet and you can do nothing. With Claris Studio, you have ESS Plus, you get a FileMaker table, and you can do all your advanced scripting, all your reporting, etc. In FileMaker. Yeah. So try to see this as a hybrid product where you do things in Studio, you do things in FileMaker, and you use the best of both worlds. Exactly.
So can you connect to a record and call FileMaker and come to the FileMaker record from Studio?
Probably we have these new triggers. So at least when something happens in Studio, a record is edited, we can use Claris Connect and we can trigger immediately something in FileMaker, like a script or something. opening FileMaker from within Studio will be possible using a script call or something like a URL? I'm assuming you can. Yeah.
Would it at this time make sense to use Studio views within FileMaker in a web viewer? Would that be too complicated with credentials and so on?
Studio views in a FileMaker web viewer, I have never tested it, but it is possible. Thanks, Remco. I've never tested it personally, but it is possible. And I know there has been some talk from Claris to make that possible in the near future. So maybe Wes, you can comment on that.
In a web view, and then further feedback is like CSS customization, so it really looks integrated within the FileMaker layout.
Yes. Yeah. Woo! All right. The only thing I wanted to show you is the configure add record dialog. This is where you can control that cart window that you saw popping up, right? Because we got that for free, but this is where you can edit it. I can specify which fields to display. So for instance, I could now make the project fields disappear because there's a default. Now I don't need it anymore. And I can like drag the title to the top. And this is how you control that cart window that you get for free. So wrapping this up, just a quick test. Never forget to refresh after making modifications. That's also a thing that I needed to learn. I'll come to you later. Yeah. So what I wanted to test is if I now add a record, this should now belong to the project selected. And what I noticed is it doesn't automatically appear. So it's confusing. It works after a refresh. So my new task is there, and it is effectively linked to that project. So it is working, but it doesn't show up immediately. So that may be also a thing that could be fixed, because it's of course confusing. Yes, a question in the back.
Yes, hello. The three buttons on the left, can they be moved to the middle section, the task details, and then set up as a toggle button?
These buttons move them to the task, to this section over here, right?
Yep. And then.
Okay, let's do that. Need to resize a little bit. I'm assuming they can, but is there a copy paste for those buttons? I don't believe so. No. So, sorry. But I can add. Let's just add one. Oh, just drag them. Oh my God. Oh no. Oh, thanks. Oh my God. This is cool. This is cool. Why not? Okay. Yeah, I'm messing it up a little bit, sorry, but I'm live demo, right? What's going on? Okay, thank you for your patience. Let's just try this, okay? It works. Wow, I love it. Yeah, it's item, but I don't care. I'm glad. Thank you for suggesting that. Yeah, we can do crazy things together, right? Let's keep going. Yes, another question.
It's not a question. Just when you share the custom view, you
Yes.
can just click on view only or edit. So if you don't want people to edit and add project or add things or delete things, you can just share the view.
Can you guide me? I can. So you mean
When you go
those edit objects over here?
on share at the top, right, up, 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 up.
Oh. Yes, and
You share the link. Yeah, click the enable the link, and you can view only just below anyone with the link. Just
oh yeah, over here. Okay, so you can make a view only
for the people who don't
online
have
version of
Claris
this dashboard.
they can have a view of the dashboard.
Yeah, yeah, which is not editable. So you can have two versions basically based on the link you search. Thank you, thank you. I'm also learning as well. All right, we're running out of time, so thank you very much for all of your questions.